I decided to try to do a 3-day fast to see what the benefits would be, and I wasn't sure I'd make it.
This is day.
It all started because I've been a subscriber to What I've Learned since 2016, and the channel host Joe talks extensively on a variety of health topics, one of which is fasting. I happened to watch his most recent one where he fasts for 5 days while walking 7 hours a day throughout Japan, all on a fast-mimicking diet. More on that in a bit. And watching him walk 163,000 steps or 79 miles that week and plunge into icy cold Japanese rivers and lose 11 pounds was pretty incredible and impressive. But it wasn't until he posted his results on his cholesterol that really piqued my interest. That really caught my attention. I know what some of you might be thinking. Fasting is a great way to lose weight, so why do you care so much about your cholesterol? Well, I personally have genetically high cholesterol and I'm on a statin to help reduce it. And for that reason, I've always looked at my cholesterol numbers as an indicator of my overall health and well-being. Here's what my numbers were 5 years ago before taking the statin. And if I was a baseball player, these numbers might actually be impressive. I mean, 327 batting average is great, but not so much for cholesterol. Now, these were my numbers 6 months prior to taking on this fast after being on a minimum statin dose of about 20 milligrams. All the markers that need to go down went down, except for my HDL, the good cholesterol, which should be higher, and that's been notoriously below the 40 mark. And because it's genetic, a statin is the correct course for me. Before moving forward with this video, please know that if you're considering fasting, consult your doctor. Now, in one of my last visits with my doctor, he pointed out my low HDL as something to seriously consider. While I was always focusing on lowering my triglycerides more, he suggested I figure out a way to boost my HDL as it was a more important factor in my overall health, something I hadn't really thought much about. Since that visit, I've been doing my best to increase the amount of fish I ate to help increase my HDL. This was mainly me eating more sardines because they're rich in omega-3s, cheap, easy to prep, and damn delicious. But while I was eating them like 3-4 times a week for a couple of months, that started to feel like a bit much, and I ended up reducing that to 2 times a week, and soon enough, it became something I would have maybe 2 or 3 times a month. And I had practically stopped a month prior to trying this fast. So my main goal for this fast was one, to see if or by how much it would lower my LDL and triglycerides, but would it increase my HDL? Some secondary goals for this experiment would be 2, how much weight would I lose? And 3, can I walk 10 to 15,000 steps a day, all in an effort to help me with goal number 2, but also to stay active. And being active is good for your cholesterol. In the What I've Learned video, it referenced Walter Longo, author of the Longevity Diet. So naturally, I read that book and learned a bit more about the fast-mimicking diet. While overall, Professor Longo offers some interesting concepts presenting his 5 pillars to longevity, he had some key takeaways including eating a mostly vegan diet with the occasional fish, as well as daily exercises, including a 1-hour walk. Something I think is a great idea, but I'm not 100% sure is practical for everyone out there. But anyway, his book, however, talked what fasting can do to improve your health, regenerate your cells, boost your immunity, all of which was really interesting. The crux is that by offering your body a minimal amount of calories, you can still get all the benefits of a full fast without the downsides of going without food for so long. I've done no food and water fast for 25 hours for religious reasons in the past, and while it's not fun, it's definitely doable. I figured I can handle 3 days with water and a little bit of food. For simplicity, I tried to follow the same protocol that Joe did in his video. I would drink water with electrolytes, some decaf coffee and tea, and eat 200 to 300 calories of miso soup and 1 to 1.5 ounces of beef jerky, and then try to keep my food intake to less than 500 calories. I didn't end up recording myself on the first day because, like I said, I've fasted 25 hours before, and with water and electrolytes, it was much easier and a great start. But I wanted to share with you some personal updates while it was happening, so here you can see or feel my mood and energy levels and generally get a sense of how I was doing and what my main concerns were. Like this one, because
Day 2 is going to be a challenge because it's been, well, I'm looking at my empty wrist, but it's been about 36 hours, which is the longest I've ever not had food, and we'll see how it goes. You know, fasting when you have a family and a job is super tough. So hopefully day 2 goes well.
It wasn't until lunchtime on day 2 that I noticed something in my body. I got some miso soup at a local sushi spot, which I think will be helpful because I'm noticing that I'm cold. I think eating food keeps me warm, and my fingers are cold, my body is cold, and that's just an interesting byproduct. But the electrolytes are really helpful. I don't feel foggy or tired. I seem to have a pretty decent amount of energy, which is great. Okay, so it's the end of the workday, day 2. I've got a few more hours until the end of day 2, but I'm feeling okay. I'm not feeling great. The electrolytes are helping, but I'm kind of tired of them. And I just brought the kids home from school. No, stop. I still have lots of energy though. I have lots of energy. I have to make them dinner and put them to bed. Suffice it to say, day 2 was pretty easy. One of the hardest parts is the psychology of not eating. There's so much emotion, feeling, family connection, life that happens over meals and with food. And opting out of it, I have to say, is a weird choice. And I have to admit, a luxury, because I am choosing to be miserable, and there are some people that don't have that option.
I kind of feel a little miserable in the sense that like I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be worth it. I don't know if I'm going to be losing as much weight as I thought I would. I'm not getting in my steps. I think I clocked in about 5,000 or 6,000 steps. And the pedometer or the watch app never counts an accurate amount anyway, so I don't really know what to say about that. But I wasn't on the treadmill as much as I wanted to be. And I feel okay, although I do miss food, meaning I'm getting a lot of water and my skin feels pretty good. So with day 3 started, I noticed that one of the hardest things again was just getting started. Once you're busy with your day, you usually forget that you're hungry, and I've skipped breakfast often, so it wasn't so bad. Plus, it became very clear that I wasn't getting my steps. So of the 3 goals, cholesterol, weight loss, and steps walked, I was really focusing on the first one and not so much the other 2. But I have to say, the hardest thing over the last couple of days, which is a big challenge for day number 3, is just being around food. I cook like 90, did I have said this already? 90% of like the meals here at the house. So I'm making breakfast and dinner. And dinner is tough because you're around the food and you want to. This is the rambling of a 3-day fast. Maybe that's what's supposed to happen. Ooh, lunchtime on day 3, and I picked up 3 miso soups at the same place just because my brain is kind of a little foggy and I don't want to have to put any thought. Plus, I ended up getting a tall decaf. I hear coffee can help. I don't know if it's decaf, but anything to psychologically trick me into not feeling so hungry. It's not that I feel hungry, I'm just kind of weak today. I still got my electrolytes, you know, it's a nice flavor. That really helps. And I'm a little excited for this to be over, but I heard there's some really awesome things that happen after a 3-day fast. So maybe I can get to 3.5, because if I can get to dinner, I can just go to sleep and then wake up and then break it with breakfast. So here's hoping. 3.5. I did it. Yeah, I went an extra day, or a half. I went an extra half a day. I don't even know what to say other than I'm glad it's over, because I miss food, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Right, so the fast is done. I'm on my way to work, and I got some blood work done to find out what my lipids would be. I have to say that I did not plan my fast break very well, so I have a croissant that I picked up with some decaf coffee. So hopefully that is a good way to break the fast, but I definitely would recommend maybe planning that ahead of time. And I'm right about that. But before I give you my final thoughts, let me share with you my blood test results for my cholesterol. Remember, these were my numbers 6 months prior to fasting, and I haven't exercised, and aside from eating sardines for a few months, this is it. And my numbers blew me away. I mean, I have to say I was really surprised, but very happy with the results. My cholesterol went from 169, which is considered borderline high, to 133, which is normal. My LDL bad cholesterol went from 88 to 72, and my triglycerides went from very high at 279 to normal at 92, which is insane. But remarkably, my HDL, that number I was trying to get higher, has never broken 40. It landed on 43, and it's never been 43.
And higher HDL lowers your risk of heart disease and stroke and removes excess LDL. One reason my doctor was keen on me getting that HDL number up. Now, there is one caveat I will offer as I think about these numbers. I do believe that fasting played a significant role in these results, but I do also want to acknowledge I have given up drinking caffeinated coffee, and with the statin I'm taking, I know one side effect of reducing caffeine is that your medication just works a little bit better. So there is also that. And I felt it was important to at least say that much because in life, a lot of results are multifactorial. So here are my final thoughts. It was very achievable to fast for 3.5 days, and I was very happy with the results of my blood test, which offset any feelings of misery I may have had during the fast. And the electrolytes helped immensely, and even having that little tiny amount of food helped with any hunger pangs or fasting bumps you might experience. Now, the question is, should you fast for 3.5 days? Well, there are a lot of reasons that you should at least consider it, but definitely consult your doctor. My opinion is threefold on the matter. 1, fasting is a good way to rethink your relationship with food. 2, on weight loss, I only lost about 4 pounds, nothing really significant, and I didn't weigh myself or record it because I didn't think it would be worth noting, plus weight fluctuates up and down depending on the time of day. So I really wouldn't advocate that as a reason. I also want to be sensitive to unhealthy eating habits that people might develop chasing a scale or a certain number. And finally, reason number 3, the main reason I'd suggest fasting once a year is to help reset your immune system, activate that cell regeneration, and maybe get your cholesterol numbers in check. While the longevity diet as a whole doesn't interest me just yet, I really think there's a lot of promise to those with severe illnesses and chronic issues to really look into the fast-mimicking diet. I think it might be worth trying to fast for 3.5 days when you're healthy, so that if you ever have to do it when you're sick, it isn't so new and therefore horrible. I think we all have had people in our lives that have experienced cancer, and if fasting can help them or help their treatment do its job, that's gotta be a good thing. As a final advice on things to consider, I can say that it's much easier than I thought to physically eat very little. The real battle is the psychology. Being around food is very hard, and not having family dinner is harder, and not imparting bad eating or non-eating habits to my children is not something I want. I think a fast-mimicking diet is much better than no food at all. And lastly, be sure to prepare what you're going to break the fast with. Make better choices, even if 2 croissants sounds delicious. I'd suggest having something lighter like vegetable soup or bone broth, or even an egg. In the What I've Learned video, he breaks it with a full steak, and I can definitely tell you that that is not a good idea. But that's because there's a part 2 to fasting where I ended up fasting for 5 days to see if it's worth it. Click on that and check it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.